Let's move on here to a quarterback that many people thought was going to Denver and ended up staying in Green Bay. And that is Aaron Rodgers. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Money Down Pod. Thank you so much for tuning in. Follow us on Twitter at Money Down Pod. My guy Shawn White, Kayvon Izami here. Talking about Russell Wilson and now moving on to Aaron Rodgers. Look, we kind of started to feel that he was going to stay. That's kind of how I started to feel towards the end, and I know you felt the same way, but we thought maybe it could still be possible. I think now, looking at it in hindsight, I think Rodgers made this decision all along. I don't think he was planning on leaving. I think he wanted to stay. I think it's crazy as it sounds, man, how far things have come. I think he's kind of like in love with Matt LaFleur and the coaching staff. They're boys. This weekend, they were at Bakhtiari's wedding, and LaFleur was there, and everyone was there, and they were having like a blast and all that stuff. So I just think it got to a point where he didn't want to leave his teammates. He didn't want to leave his coaching staff, and it seems like him and Goody are kind of close now too. He stayed, and to be honest, I think that was the best decision. I think it was. Now, the contract is a whole different situation because, listen, if anybody's been listening to this podcast, I'm very player friendly. I'm pro player. I'm all about the player. I want the player to get their money, and I'm never going to bash on someone for getting their money. When I do bash on is when someone complains about not being able to get more talent in, and then also goes and takes an insane contract. Now, we don't know the exact contract yet. There's rumors that he got this $50 million a year and all that stuff. We got to see first. But if that is the case, I mean, bro, they're not going to be able to make any moves at all.
Yeah, they're already letting go of like Zadarius Smith and all them, and I believe Rashawn Gary's either up or he's going to be one of the players that's locked in there. I know Kenny Clark's going to have to restructure a little bit. They're going to lose some people. Jair Alexander's going to be up for one soon too. It's going to be interesting to see how they move money around. But if you watch the Saints, the cap's a myth until Drew Brees retires. So maybe they're going to go that route and kind of copy them with how they structure Rodgers' deal, where they just keep pushing it down until he finally retires. Which, in my opinion, if you're going to keep Rodgers, that's the move to do. What you got to do is structure his deal in a way to where he's still getting paid, but you're just pushing it down the line. Because for the 3 or 4 years that Rodgers plays right here, you're all in. It's time to win a Super Bowl. This is going to be an all-in time for them. I know they're going to sign Devontae to a long-term deal as well, which I could see them doing the same thing with his deal and structuring it that way to where they just push it down the road until finally the team just goes under. But it's all going to be to try to win a Super Bowl. You know, it's gonna be a New Orleans Saints year this year whenever Rodgers and Devontae go away, and that's kind of what they're going to have to do with the cap if they want any chance of building a competitive team around here and keeping some of the talent they have. I will say this: Rodgers made a good decision staying because, like we were talking about with the AFC quarterbacks, Rodgers is easily the best quarterback in the NFC now. I mean, I don't even know how close it is. Stafford made a good run last year, so he's up there. After that, you're going Kyler Murray, and then it's a huge drop-off to Dak Prescott. Let's be honest. That's what you're looking at there in the NFC. So they're going to have a shot to make some runs here, and that's what they're going to need to do. I'm excited to see how they build a team up, and I want to see what the contract is when it comes out because I do have a feeling they're going to go that New Orleans Saints type route where they give the heavy signing bonus up and just keep kicking that can down the road to where they're just on a massive cap hit when he's not playing anymore for that 1 year, and they'll just deal with it when that comes. But that's going to be interesting to see how they build around that. They have 2 premier offensive linemen. They have Devontae Adams. They have 2 good running backs. And they have a solid defense right now, even though they're letting some pieces go. Interesting to see what they do to build around that and build it back up. But they should be the favorites in the NFC. But like we talked about last year, until you see it now, you can't really believe it because of how it's been going in the playoffs recently for the Packers.
Yeah, it's very simple. The pressure's on. I mean, the pressure, like you said, not one single team in their division can get anywhere near them. Not one single team in the NFC, other than the Rams, should be able to get anywhere near them in terms of just the talent that they now have with Rodgers back. I mean, the pressure is on. They have to make the Super Bowl this year. They have to. I'm happy for Green Bay fans. They got their guy back and all that stuff, but they've got to make a run at it because, like you said, they're going to be cap heavy. They're going to just keep pushing it out like the Saints do and some other teams do. But yeah, at the end of the day, man, now you got to start winning. You came back. You're probably going to end your career there now. That's what it seems like. You got to make some moves in the playoffs now. The pressure is completely on. Other than that, though, there wasn't really much more to it than me. Then he just came back, which I felt like it was going to happen. Probably the smartest move because look at the AFC. I mean, unless you were going to go to a team in the NFC, which the Packers we talk about the Seahawks. I don't think any way in hell the Packers were going to trade him to a team in the NFC. So this was something that they had to do. He had to come back. It made the most sense for everyone. To me, the most interesting piece of all of this now becomes what happens with Jordan Love. That is by far, to me, way more interesting than Aaron Rodgers coming back because, Shawn, this is, by them bringing Rodgers back, they are pretty much telling us that they made a massive mistake with Jordan Love. That's what they're telling us. At this point in Jordan Love's career, I'm not saying he needs to be a superstar or anything because he's still very young, but he needs to be out there playing. And for them to bring Rodgers back, I don't care how good Rodgers is. If Jordan Love, who would be 100 million times cheaper, literally, if he was showing any signs of sparkle or dazzle or impressing them, they would have gotten a ton of compensation for Rodgers and build around him. They would have moved on just like they did with Brett Favre. Jordan Love clearly was not showing them anything. So they are now telling us, without actually saying it, we messed up, which we all already knew, but now they're actually saying it. So to me, the biggest question becomes, what happens? They can't just have him sit there for the next 3 years. They've got to trade him. They've got to move on. So what's got to happen with Jordan now?
I don't know. I think they might actually have him sit there for those 2 or 3 years and just play him as a backup.
And then pay him? I mean, his contract's going to run up.
His contract's cheap. His contract's not expensive for a backup, to be honest. They have him under control. He knows the system. I don't think they're going to get anything for him. Who's going to trade for him? Who's going to trade like anything worth value for him at all, to be honest?
No, but what I'm saying is his contract right now, because was taken later, but it's going to run up in 2 years.
Oh, they're going to let him go straight up. I think
that's what I'm saying. They're just going to let. So
they legit drafted a quarterback in the first round that's a backup quarterback. That's what they did. It's one of the worst draft picks of all time. And I mean, I was on that train when it happened because of who they drafted him to be behind. Made no sense to me. All the people that defended that thought it was going to be like a next Rodgers thing. That made no sense to me. He wasn't the prospect of Rodgers. Rodgers was the number one quarterback in the draft to a lot of people, and they took Alex Smith first, and he fell all the way down there. And then Jordan Love wasn't that at all. He was always a project. That made no sense to me when it happened. Well, so they're going to keep him as a backup is what I think they're going to do. Because I don't think you're going to get anything more than a 6th-round pick for him. I really don't.
Well, then I would press for a 5th, and I would do it. I understand I understand that you have to be able to push your ego aside. But, bro, your ego is already crushed for making that pick. And you're going to look like a real big idiot, and people are going to come at you. But if your just plan is to just let him walk eventually, I mean, might as well get a 5th-round pick for him. Shoot, if I was the Falcons, I would give up a 5th for him. See what he has. We don't have any other option right now. We're not going to draft a quarterback 8 overall. I would give up a 5th-round pick for Jordan Love and see what he could do. Why not?
I think the way they're looking at this is, instead of having that pick, I think it's more valuable to have him back Rodgers up because Rodgers gets hurt. I think that's just what it is with the upside and the knowing of the system. And when you throw him out there, he's not like the other backups as well. You just don't have a ton of film on him. So it's more of a surprise when you can do that. I'm literally having to make a case that he's just a good backup quarterback that can get you a game or two if Rodgers goes down for 3. And that's kind of what you're looking at. And it's a terrible pick. I know that sucks to hear, Packers fans. But, hey, you got to be happy. You got your MVP back. You got your man. And you're still a contender in the NFC. But that was a horrible pick. It was when it happened. It is now. And I understand. But when that contract's close to running out, maybe they do trade him for a 5th or 6th or something. and they get some preseason film and he looks good or something like that, really scares the Commanders or one of those teams into getting him, trading for him. But other than that, I see him on the bench. He's a high quality backup for him at this point, and it's bad to say, but that's what happened. It was a terrible pick, terrible pick,
terrible pick, absolutely terrible pick, and that the Packers are officially telling us that by now bringing Aaron Rodgers back.